everyone, welcome again. Today in this session we are going to study about chemical properties of metals. So let's start with the session. So we are going to see what will happen when metal will react with oxygen, with water, with dilute acids, with salt solutions and also with hydrogen. So first of all, let us see what will happen when metal will react with oxygen. So when metal will react with oxygen, it will form metallic oxides. So here is the reactivity series in which potassium is very reactive whereas platinum is least reactive. So if I talk about potassium and sodium, which are very reactive, they react so vigorously with oxygen and catches fire even when kept at room temperature. That is the reason why we store them under kerosene oil so as to prevent this. So let us see the reaction of the same. So sodium, when react with oxygen, it will form sodium oxide, Na2O. Okay, now to balance it, I need to put 4 here and then 2 here. Okay, if I talk about potassium, so when potassium reacts with oxygen, it forms potassium oxide, which is K2O. Now in order to balance it, I'll put 4 here and 2 here. Okay, now let me tell you that these oxides are basic in nature. In fact, every metallic oxides are basic in nature. However, there is one exception which I am going to tell just now. Okay, now talking about magnesium. So we have learned about magnesium in chapter 1 also, that when magnesium reacts with oxygen, it burns with dazzling white flame. So let us see the reaction. So magnesium, when reacts with oxygen, it forms magnesium oxide. Now in order to balance it, I'll put 2 here and 2 here. Okay, again magnesium oxides are basic in nature. Now let us see what will happen when aluminium and zinc will react with oxygen. So here if you see, aluminium is less reactive than magnesium. That is why it will react with oxygen less violently. Now here is another term which is amphoteric. Okay, so we are going to talk about what is amphoteric. So aluminium and zinc, they form amphoteric oxides. So what are amphoteric oxides? So most of the metal oxides are basic in nature, but some of the metallic oxides show both basic as well as acidic behavior, and those oxides are called amphoteric oxides. For example, oxides of aluminium and oxides of zinc, they show both acidic as well as basic nature. So first of all, let us see the reaction. What will happen when aluminium will react with oxygen? So on heating aluminium in the presence of oxygen, it will form aluminium oxide, which is Al2O3. In order to balance it, I'll put 2 here, then 3 here and 4 here. Now let us see whether this aluminium oxide is acidic or basic. So since I told you that it is amphoteric, so it will show both acidic as well as basic behavior. So we all know that when acid reacts with base, it forms salt and water, right? So in case 1, we will have aluminium oxide reacting as acid. In that way, we will write Al2O3 here and it will react with the base, which is NaOH, and will form sodium aluminate, which is NaAlO2, along with the liberation of water. So since we are getting salt and water and here we have base, so it is for sure that aluminium oxide is behaving as an acid. So in exam, if you have to prove that aluminium oxide shows acidic behavior, you can write this reaction. Now in second case, when aluminium oxide is behaving as a base, in that way we will take HCl as an acid and aluminium oxide as a base. In that way, it will form AlCl3 along with the formation of water. So as to balance it, I will put 2 here, 3 here and 6 here. Now again the same thing. Since this is a salt and water is formed, so salt and water is formed only when you have acid along with base. Thus we have proved that aluminium oxide is behaving as a base here. So this is how we can prove that aluminium shows both acidic as well as basic behavior. Now let us study about zinc. Now zinc reacts with oxygen only on strong heating. So when zinc reacts with oxygen, it forms zinc oxide, which is ZnO. So as to balance it, I'll put 2 here and 2 here. Now again, this zinc oxide shows amphoteric behavior. It means it behaves both as acidic as well as basic oxide. Now again, in order to prove this, we go with the equation that acid and base when react forms salt and water, right? Now here, when zinc oxide will react as a base, so it is reacting with HCl in order to form ZnCl2, which is a salt, along with the formation of water. So ZnCl2 is a salt, and we know salt is formed only when we have in reactant an acid and a base. So here zinc oxide is actually acting as a base. Now the second case, when zinc oxide will be reacting as an acid. So zinc oxide will be reacting as an acid and we have sodium hydroxide. So when they will react with each other, it will form sodium zincate, which is Na2ZnO2, and again this is a salt along with the formation of water. So here we have proved that zinc oxide shows both acidic as well as basic behavior. Now talking about copper. So copper metal doesn't burn in air even on strong heating. It is because it is placed very low in the reactivity series, right? So if you burn copper in the presence of oxygen for a long period of time, only then it will react with oxygen so as to form copper oxide. So copper on prolonged heating will react with oxygen so as to form copper oxide. So as to balance it, I'll put 2 here and 2 here, right? And this copper oxide is actually black in color. Talking about silver, gold and platinum. So they are placed so low in the reactivity series that they won't even react with oxygen even at higher temperature. Now, there is one point which you need to note. So, at ordinary temperature, the surfaces of the metal like magnesium, aluminium, zinc and lead, they are covered with a thin layer of their respective oxide, thereby preventing the further oxidation of metal. Now, under the heading where metal reacts with oxygen and forms an oxide layer, we have a very important concept, and that is anodizing. So what is anodizing? Anodizing stands for anode plus oxidizing. So basically it is a process of forming a thick layer of aluminium oxide on an aluminium object by making it anode, that is positive electrode, during the electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid. अब इस concept का मतलब क्या है? So basically you have an electrolytic tank जिसके अंदर आपके पास क्या होगा? dilute sulfuric acid as an electrolyte, right? अब इसमें यहाँ पे 2 आपके इलेक्ट्रोड्स होंगे, एक होगा एनोड और एक होगा कैथोड। तो जिस भी चीज को आपको एनोडाइज करना है, मतलब जिसके ऊपर आपको लेयर बनानी है ऑक्सीजन की, उसको हम बनाएंगे एनोड। इसके लिए हम इसको कनेक्ट करेंगे पॉजिटिव टर्मिनल ऑफ द बैटरी और नेगेटिव टर्मिनल ऑफ द बैटरी से आपको कनेक्टेड होगा कैथोड। नाउ दिस कैथोड कुड बी एल्यूमिनियम और लेड, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग बिटवीन देम। और यहाँ पे आपका है डाइल्यूट सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड एज एन इलेक्ट्रोलाइट, दिस इज डाइल्यूट सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड। अब क्या होता है, when the switch is turned on and the current flows through the electrolyte, the oxygen gas is evolved at anode. So at anode, which needs to be anodized, which is actually aluminium, reacts with the oxygen gas which is evolved at anode. So more and more oxygen gas reacts with this aluminium in order to form the very thick layer of Al2O3. Now it depends upon the duration you are carrying out this process. तो अगर आपको बहुत thick layer चाहिए तो आपको ये process बहुत देर तक करना होगा. Now this thicker and more uniform layer of aluminium oxide protects the aluminium object from corrosion. Now we are going to see what are the benefits of anodizing. Now the very first importance of anodizing is that it makes the component durable. So if you see here, the process creates a very hard layer on underlying aluminium metal, making it extremely durable, and that is the reason that anodized aluminium is used in order to make buildings. Next, it increases the corrosion resistance of the aluminium metal. So although by natural way aluminium actually gets the layer of oxygen, but that layer is not so strong. That is why in order to increase the resistance towards corrosion, we make use of anodizing, with the help of which we have hard wear resistance layer formed on the aluminium metal. Next, it makes the surface of aluminium metal so hard that we can actually dye it with different colors and we can make it more appealing and decorative. Now let us jump to the another chemical property of metals. So when metal will react with water, it can form metal oxide or metal hydroxide. So it depends upon what kind of water it is reacting with. For example, if it's reacting with cold water or hot water, so it will form metal hydroxide. Whereas if it is reacting with steam, it will form metal oxide. Now there are three concepts here. The first concept says that the highly reactive metal, for example potassium and sodium, they are so reactive that they can violently react even with cold water in order to form metal hydroxide along with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Okay, whereas the metals which are less reactive than potassium and sodium reacts with hot water in order to produce metal hydroxide along with the liberation of hydrogen gas. And the metals which are moderately reactive, they will react with steam in order to form metal oxide along with the formation of hydrogen gas. Whereas the metals which are least reactive, for example if I talk about copper, silver and gold, so they won't react with water in order to form metal oxide. Now let us see what will happen when aluminium, zinc and iron, they are made to react with water. So talking about aluminium, so aluminium actually have a very thin layer of oxygen over it, right, that is the oxide layer. So it doesn't react with water under ordinary conditions. So aluminium reacts with steam in order to form aluminium oxide along with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Now in order to balance it, let me put 2 here, then 3 here, and now in order to balance hydrogen I need to put 3 here. Okay, so talking about zinc, zinc is also moderately reactive, so it will react with steam therefore and will form the oxide, metallic oxide. It will form zinc oxide along with the formation of hydrogen gas. So this is the balanced equation. Now if I talk about iron, so iron exhibit multiple valencies. If you don't know about it, then please go through our concept classes. So the red hot iron will react with steam in order to form Fe3O4 along with the formation of hydrogen gas. So here this is basically iron second third oxide. So what is iron second third oxide? Now the question arises, what is iron second third oxide? This is something very strange, right? So iron second third oxide is a chemical compound with the formula Fe3O4 which is written here. So it contains both Fe2+ ions and also Fe3+ ions. and it is basically encountered in laboratory as a black powder. So this is present as the black powder. Okay. Now the question arises that why this lead doesn't react with water. So lead actually have a very protective layer of lead oxide, PbO, which doesn't allow water to further react with lead, and that is why the reaction doesn't occur under normal conditions. Now talking about the reactions of copper, gold, silver or platinum. So these are so less reactive, these are so unreactive that they do not react with water in order to form metallic oxide. Now let me tell you the reason why it happens. So water, it is slightly ionized in order to give H plus and also OH minus ions. Now when a very reactive metal combines with water, it gives electrons to H plus ions. So if I talk about potassium, so when potassium will be reacting with this water, so potassium will be giving its one electron to this hydrogen ion, so that the hydrogen ion on accepting the electron will get reduced to hydrogen gas. Whereas if I talk about the unreactive metals like copper, so this copper being very unreactive do not give electron easily to this H plus ion, and that is why hydrogen gas is not formed. Hence unreactive metals like copper, gold and silver will not react with water.